All right. And we're here.
Good evening,
Yeah. So,
or as I should say,
Welcome to Nice Place to Brew with Jason and George, a show about all things beer and beer making. Gentlemen, please broadcast responsibly.
it's not an intro without that, let me tell you.
very true, very true. Welcome to A Nice Place to Brew. I'm Jason.
And I'm George.
Welcome to our podcast, welcome to our webcast via March 6th, 2020. I got quite a bit to talk about tonight.
Oh, yeah? Okay, I
I
was
had I
wondering.
had I had quite a craft beer slash home brewing eventful weekend, especially considering that we're still under quarantine.
Okay, do tell.
Yeah, no, if we'll get into it as we get into the episode.
All
But let's
right.
start it off appropriately. What are you drinking?
So I'm repping my buddies over at Unionville Brewing.
Okay, all
And
right.
I have their Belgian wit that they made. Actually, this is one that I helped them to produce. So it's yeah, a little bit close to home there.
All right. All right. Well, showing some support for the local breweries that we enjoy supporting so much. I have a beer from our friends over at Will County Brewing Company. Will County, of course, is the glass that I seem to drink out of just about every show. They have a special release that came out this past week, and I love the look of this can. Just look at this.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Is that a great print job?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you can see the name that's on this label, but they're going for for a Flintstones theme with this one. And the name of this beer is Bam Bam Loves Pebbles.
Okay.
And it's a wheat ale with lactose in it.
I was wondering if it was going to be a cereal beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
So, anyways, this will be my second can since buying this for a couple days ago. I'll tell you, this is a solid, very unique beer.
Yeah. Okay.
I enjoy.
Yeah, this was they were originally going for a different type of Belgian, but it's not always about what you intend to make, it's what you make. So
Don't I know it?
if you see here, it's a lot lighter than
That is really light.
yeah,
Wow.
but it has a lot of really good Belgian notes to it and everything. So they decided to settle on it being a Belgian wit.
Okay. And you were there for that brew day, is that correct?
I was, yeah, and we followed the recipe and everything, and so I think this was a slightly different style than some of the other ones that they've done, which has been like IPAs and things like that. So I think it comes down to dialing in the equipment a little bit more, since they are still a relatively new brewery, and just some like I said, sometimes it's not exactly what you expect it to be. So you just got to roll with the punches.
I'm reminded because I something came up in my recent brew day, and I had some questions thrown at me regarding the mash temperature that I had selected.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Do you
yeah,
remember offhand what you guys mashed at?
we mashed it at about 152.
Okay, so that's not quite that light of body category. I
No.
think I think no, that's a very appropriate selection.
Yeah, no, that's
So
a relatively medium body
right.
on that.
So
So,
what else could have I'm just trying to think what else could have thinned out that body like that?
well, it's not so much the body, it's just the color. Like the body is still there, although it's a little bit thinner, but
Yeah.
the color just didn't come through like you would think. So, I'm not exactly sure what did that. But I know they had to make a slight modification on the base grain, but that's not where you get most of the color from anyway.
True.
Yeah,
True. All right. You're pleased?
I am pleased. Yeah. So yeah. So
Good.
what they have a pilsner that they're working on, and there's a yeah, I don't remember. They had some pale ales, but the pale ales around here aren't doing super well, so they've decided to ditch them and free up some fermenter space and go with some other
Styles.
Yes, thank you. Was the
Styles.
word I was
Okay.
looking for. Yeah.
All right.
So
All right. Good deal. Good deal. How is our connection going? Are we stabilizing?
No. No, it bottomed out.
Crap.
But I am recording, so not to the cloud, to my computer here. So we can keep going.
Just post it later after it's done.
Just post it after it's done.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
Yeah. But anyway, so but yeah, so I hear you said you had a few things you wanted to talk about.
I did. So I'll start off here. I had a happy accident happen this week.
Mm-hmm.
And the happy accident being I found I found 2 jugs of 4-year-old mead in the back of a closet.
Yeah, you mentioned that. How is that's always nice when you forget about mead for a while.
It sure is. And if you pulled out I keep all my meads in 64-ounce growlers clear.
Mm-hmm.
And when I pulled them out, there was just a whole bunch of crud that had just accumulated in the bottom of the jug,
Right.
which is not uncommon. And that's just, part of just the, aging process.
Yeah.
So what do you do about that is you just rack off the liquid and then just ditch what's left behind.
Right.
Simple as that. Well, one thing that I discovered is racking a volume that's that small is surprisingly challenging. My regular auto siphon that I used gravity did not want to take over. So I want to put this out there. Is there a secret to racking over small volumes in a cleaner fashion than that?
Well, I mean, for me, I always kind of looked at it like a starter is just, decant it, which sounds like it was decanted really well. All the sediment was at the bottom, and then just slowly pour as much as you can to make sure that you leave as much of that behind as you can.
But isn't the trade-off with that you're just introducing a lot of oxygen to it?
Yeah, with a mead, it doesn't matter as much, though. But
is that true?
Well, I mean,
it's a post-fermented liquid.
True, but my understanding is that that the reason that you don't want to do that with beer is you run the risk of introducing contaminants and things like that. And right. With a mead, with it being honey being naturally antibacterial, it's not impossible, but it's much less likely.
Okay. All right. That's a fair point. That's a fair point. And I guess that would be a way to accomplish that if you effectively cold crashed it like you would a yeast starter and then decant it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would make some sense.
Yeah. The only other thing you could do is use like a slightly more traditional racking cane. But and really try to produce some height difference between your original and your donor, or
right.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's a challenging one.
Yeah. Something to look at the message boards and something for a future episode. We've as you know, we've talked about mead a lot at the Downers Grove meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a member of our Downers Grove meeting that will be joining us on Thursday this week. So I'm sure he'll have some insight to share with us there.
Possibly alongside of a prominent hop vendor as well. That's what I was talking to them about.
All right. That's coming together, huh?
Yeah, it's coming together.
Awesome.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
So that's that.
That's that.
Next thing, I got another batch of Nalivka.
Okay.
Brewing up.
You brewing up? All right. Yeah.
Yep. I shouldn't say brewing up because it's really just a mixed cocktail.
Yeah, but aging up then it doesn't sound as good,
True.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Should we invent a new term for that?
Yeah, we should.
Mixing up.
Mixing up.
We sound like DJs then.
We do.
I want to be let's get something better then.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, so that is vodka based, right? It's vodka and sugar.
Vodka, raspberries, and sugar.
Right.
So there's a couple steps in it. The first day is you mix together the raspberries and vodka. There's a ratio in the recipe that you follow. seal it up. You keep it in that jar for 2 to 5 weeks, stirring every couple of days just to make sure it gets blended.
Mm-hmm.
Then at the end of that, you rack off the I shouldn't even say rack off. You pour out the liquid and then you filter out the raspberries. So you're all you're left with is that dense liquid with the vodka and raspberries, and then you sweeten it with sugar to whatever your liking is. And after you add all your sugar, they recommend you seal it up, put it in a closet for at least 2 months, I think is what the recommendation.
Yeah.
But the longer the better.
Right.
So so
Yeah. For
so
sure.
I keep a volume of Nalivka here at the house all the time, and my supply was getting low, so I kind of seized the moment and bought some vodka, bought some raspberries, and here we go.
All right. Yeah.
Last thing,
Yep.
back to my cream ale that I brewed.
Right.
So I have transferred that to a secondary and moved it into my keezer so it can cold crash.
Okay.
So here's what the numbers broke down into from my cream ale brew day. I was targeting an original gravity of 1053, and I came in high. I finished at 1057 with an estimated brew house efficiency of I think 73%,
It's not bad.
which is yeah, it's higher than I usually do. So
Yeah.
I'll take that number. So, anyways, the yeast that I was using, and I can you look it up on Beersmith real quick? I know.
Sure.
What is the rest?
Which one is it?
It's cream ale.
Oh. There it is. Okay. Cloud. Cream ale quarantine. There it is. All right. Looks like you use Kolsch yeast. 2565.
2565 from Y Yeast. Yes.
Isn't that a warm fermenting yeast? Like a really warm fermenting yeast?
No, not really. 50 to I think 55 to 72 is the temperature range on it.
Oh, is it? Okay. All right. I must be thinking
Yeah.
something else then. Yeah.
So another number associated the other number that's associated with that yeast is the attenuation percentage, which comes in at 73 to 77.
That's pretty good.
I want to talk about this because I didn't come in that high. I attenuated about 66% of the gravity.
I assume
So
you did a starter.
I did a starter, yes,
Okay.
and I think it went for about 48 hours. The starter.
Okay.
So the numbers came out like this: shot for 1053 for an original gravity, got 1057, and then it fermented down to 1018. So that's as low as the gravity got.
Okay. 1018. So that's a little higher. That's going to make it a little sweeter.
Yes. Now, I mean, the taste is good. I'm very pleased with that so far, but it's a few points off from where it ideally should be. So I can attribute that to a couple things. Maybe that added percentage of the 1057 may have come from the unfermentables in the grain bill.
Mm-hmm.
Or the second thing is there's just something that I'm not doing in my yeast preparation process, which is a little hard to accept because I go to pretty good extremes to manage my yeast health and do that portion properly.
Did you follow the starter recommendations in Beersmith?
Yes.
Okay, so you
I
did like 0.9 liters with you have a stir plate, right?
I do have a stir plate.
With a stir
plate.
plate.
And I measure out the DME. You boil the DME, cold crash it down.
Right.
Pitch the yeast. And
onto the stir plate.
Obviously the recommendation of course is 12 to 72 hours depending on how you want to leave it.
Right.
I think I did 48.
Okay.
Cold crash the decanter, let it separate, decant it off, and then aerating the wort. I had to learn about the aeration the hard way because I didn't pay attention to that for too long. I aerated the crap out of the wort, which I do every time. Poured the yeast, and it's in a temperature controlled fridge with a heater, and I fermented it at 66 degrees, and I had the control on it the entire time.
What? So you did it at 66 degrees. Okay.
So I mean, that's covering your bases about as thoroughly as anyone can expect.
Yeah.
So that 66 is puzzling to me.
Yeah, I was just looking at and I can share this with the class. But I was looking at the um, YE's page for this, the 2565
Yeah,
page.
yeah.
And says, yeah, this yeast can be used to produce quick conditioning pseudo lager beers that ferment well at cold 55 to 60 degrees. So the powdery strain, yeah, may remain in suspension post fermentation. It requires filtration for additional time to produce bright beers. In other words, clearer beers.
Right.
For people that aren't familiar with that terminology. So ABV range is 10%. I mean, yeah, so ABV range is 10%
So
for
this
that.
is well within that.
Well within that. So that shouldn't have been a problem.
Right.
I assume you got good activity in your starter.
Mm-hmm.
And
Fermentation kicked off within 12 hours.
right, and according to Beersmith, your final gravity should have been 1011. So that's a little
Yep.
higher. Now you started higher, right?
I did.
What'd you start at?
1057.
Well, okay, so but your estimated original gravity here is 1059. So you're still in that
Yeah.
range that you should have been able to finish
All
at
right.
1011.
Let me grab my book. Hold on.
Okay. We'll figure this out. We probably won't. These things happen. It's kind of theoretical limits of how much you can get out of it, but and these guys do these kinds of tests under lab conditions, but it's the reason they give a range here too. They want to say, like, under lab conditions you probably can get 77% attenuation, and but for guys like us, we may not see every point out of that as possible. So
I don't think the 1059 number is real. I might have been playing around with what my efficiency was,
oh, okay.
and that's where that came from. I have it here in my notes. It's 1057.
Okay. All right. Well, at any rate, yeah, you're still well within the range there. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, that might just be one of those fluke things,
I feel like the last 2, maybe 3 brew days, I've had some similar feelings on, specifically with the attenuation.
that you're not getting as much attenuation out of it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe that's something we can pose to people smarter than us when it comes to yeast. Like, you got guys across the street that have a yeast lab. Maybe they can give you some ideas.
That's a good thought.
Yeah.
Like my Irish Red ended at 1018 also. Going backwards.
Maybe your fermenter just likes 1018.
You know what? Honestly, like I feel like there's something to that. It's something like getting below 1020 is proving to be challenging.
Yeah, I don't know. I
So.
probably, let's see, what is it today? Monday? Probably Wednesday. I'm gonna move my Belgian blonde over into my either a carboy and cold crash or into the keg, and grab a reading on that. But I actually I feel pretty good about it. Given the activity and everything I've been seeing, I feel pretty good that I'm gonna get close to what I wanted to as far as final gravity, which on that guy was 1015.
Did you transfer it already?
No, not
to
yet.
secondary?
Not
No. Okay, so it's still in his primary.
Well, I mean, it's the catalyst.
Yeah, the
so I
the
closed.
catalyst. Okay, all
I
right.
closed the mason jar off, but it's basically
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
But yeah,
How long was it on the trub for?
till yesterday.
Okay, so you shouldn't have any diacetyl concerns then. You should be fine.
No, yeah, I definitely gave it plenty of time to clear itself up and
Right.
everything. So
Right,
no
yeah.
worries there. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
did
learned
too.
my lesson on that a long time ago.
you and me both, believe me.
So mine
Yeah.
is the 1762 strain from these guys as well.
Okay.
Let's see what the attenuation on that 62 is. So it's 65 to 75, so I'm right in that range. Attenuation
Okay.
also 73 to 77.
Up to 12 ABV.
It's up to 12 ABV, which is almost double what I was shooting for.
Okay.
So if I look at the session on Beersmith, I came in for my original gravity 1064, which is right in line with the recipe. So if I get 1015, like I said, I'll get 6.5%, which is pretty much right where I want it to be. That's assuming a 75% attenuation. So yeah, we'll see.
We'll take a reading. Let's compare notes.
Okay, we'll do. Yeah.
Can that happen between now and Thursday?
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Yeah, not a problem.
All right. Conversation to be continued.
Yeah. So,
And you know, Tony cultivates his own yeast too, so he knows a lot about this topic.
well, maybe he can give some insight on that. That would be great.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So, yeah. We're sorry. We're still doing this and keeping things moving here, and I'll tell you what, I apologize for, the technical difficulties we've been having. I honestly can't tell right now if it's broadcasting or not. So if you're seeing us, great. Glad you're with us. If not, well, you'll see the recording as I upload it later. But I'll tell you, I've been looking at this and trying to see it for the opportunity that it is, and have been getting, some re-upping some skills of my own, and I actually bought a video editing software, and have been going through some video editing tutorials and things like that, and I'm hoping
Really?
yeah, I'm kind of hoping that's going to turn into a way for me to be able to do instructional videos, that whole homebrewer's handbook thing we keep talking about. Being able to do things like how to read a refractometer and hydrometer, and those basic skills that everybody needs, but are not the easiest thing to pull out of just a instructional book.
True.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Video editing is not the easiest thing in the world.
It's not.
Granted, there's easier ways to do it than some other programs, but I applaud you. That's an awesome thing to take on, and seize the moment, like you said.
yeah. So yeah, it's been one of those days. You remember how on Thursday you were like, oh man,
Oh my God. I was
yeah, it was kind of one of those days for me. But I'll tell you what, I was looking forward to this. Hannah and I went out, and we got some curbside pickup groceries, and basically got out of the house for a little bit, and then I came back, and I was like, all right, I'm not sure if the live stream part's going to work, but we're going to have a conversation. And that's, and I was all psyched for that. So I'm glad I'm glad we're able to do this.
Can you tell me how the curbside grocery pickup thing works?
It's real. So with the grocery store, you do your order online, and then when you pull up, they give you a designated date and time. And when you pull up, you go into one of the spots, and you call the number, and you say, I'm outside, I'm this person in this spot. And, normally right now they, come up, and you get out, you help, right now you just pop your trunk, they put the stuff in, check your ID through the window, and you're off, because everything's prepaid. And so it's minimal interaction with people. And then whatever they don't have, they don't charge you for. So, it's pretty slick system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bought beer for the first time this week, doing a curbside pickup, which was not really curbside because I had to go into the place to pick up said product.
Okay.
So it's interesting that this curbside thing has just kind of evolved itself in such a short time frame, which it's had to kind of build.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I still feel like I'm somewhat confused because there's places that are doing it so much differently than others. That's why I was like, when you said groceries like that, I'm like, okay, what does that mean in practice? How does that come together?
Yeah, and in practice, it's honestly, it's really slick. And I mean, I kind of hope I don't get lazy with it even after this and be like, you bring my groceries outside, but
You know what?
it's
I tell you, I've been talking to a lot of people about what the world is going to look like when this is all over.
uh-huh.
I feel like a lot of the things that we are doing right now is going to linger
Yeah.
in some really strange ways. I
Yeah, I think
really
that's
do.
probably the case. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
This could be one of those. I think curbside could be one of the time markers of 2020 when
could
it's
be.
all said and done.
Certainly could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
One of the interesting things also, we
Mhm.
talk about curbside pickup, being that bars are closed and restaurants are closed and breweries, of course, their tap rooms are closed. I have dropped more money on packaged beer in the last 4 weeks than I think I have in the last year.
It's just cuz you don't have the right mix of homebrew at home. You
Yeah, exactly.
I,
Well, there's a couple things that contribute to that. I mean, number one, of course, is the fact that I don't have an opportunity to go out and like sit at breweries with friends and order rounds and things like that.
Mhm.
And second of all, is there's also a level of business support that comes with that because
Absolutely.
the sale of packaged beer is the only thing that these businesses have left. So I mean, it is so important right now that we show those people the support that we're able to.
Yeah, and we
So,
talked
and that's just a way to do that.
yeah, and we talked about that last week, and we found ourselves doing that too. Is like you know, we're still employed. I mean, Hannah works for herself in a sector that's actually important, really important right now, and I work
Yeah.
in network security, and from the house, so we're both able to do our thing, and so we're as much as we're cooking it at home and staying away from places and things, we're also trying to support local businesses and honestly reward some creativity. Like we have a local um, bakery who does like breakfast lunch stuff, and during this, they've started doing packaged dinners as well. That you can order online, and they have a different dinner each day, and you say I would like it, and you show up and you prepay and you show up and they give it to you and you head out. But that's something that they've done to be creative and stay relevant uh, um, in the community and everything, and it's working out great for them for as far as I can tell.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, I actually this weekend I needed some pretty significant downtime to help clear my head, and I did an entire mow on my lawn, all 3.5 acres of it in one go. I almost made it the entire lawn on one tank of gas, and I was way off in the corner, about as far as way you can get from the barn where I keep the gas tank, and I run out of gas. So I had to walk all the way over there, grab that, and come back. So I did that, and I was looking at the front and going, I bet I can do some simple landscaping. So I went and grabbed mulch and landscape materials and stuff and started doing some simple landscaping around, and it was definitely uh yeah, it was a rewarding thing, kind of like work with your hands and get that stuff done.
Well, a couple things. Number one, you were productive through all that.
Mhm.
And second of all, and I'm learning this myself, is there's something really rewarding with getting those types of projects done that you wouldn't normally just run to.
Oh yeah. Like I had said out loud many times, I bet I can do this. I should do that, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
finally did, and it definitely felt good on that.
I installed a new set of blinds this weekend, and
Yeah,
I had the same feeling. Yeah. I
yeah.
tell you, my bedroom has been closed by this black curtain since I moved into the house, and I don't know how or why, but I have not changed that in the 8 years that I've lived here.
Okay.
And then finally, just I gave in, and I told Candy yesterday, I was like, you know what, I'm going to the giant Home Depot store, and I'm just buying blinds, and we're going to knock this out. Bought
Okay.
2 sets of blinds, and setting them up took about 45 minutes.
Vertical or horizontal?
Vertical.
Vertical. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And honestly, I cannot believe that it took me so long to actually cave and do this.
It's one of those things. It's like, this is not that difficult, but it's
It's
outside of
not,
your wheelhouse. So you're
and
just
it
like,
changed the entire feel of my room.
yeah.
I'm serious.
I bet it did. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Oh, man.
so I mean, honestly, like, and you've showed me a lot of things in that world too, about just, taking on home projects, seeing them through to completion, and just seeing what a difference it makes. And, I'm definitely diving at projects like that to a much greater extent than I ever have. And I think, and it's awesome. It's, not stopping here. More
Yeah.
to come.
Good. Yeah. Yeah. So, um, I am thinking about, speaking of projects, I am thinking about pulling the trigger on that Herms coil I talked about.
Yeah,
and getting my other pot set up so I can try to do a little mini Herms setup with my next brew day.
Oh, in time for the next brew day?
Yeah, sure, why not? I'll get it
All right.
ordered,
Yeah,
and
sure.
I'm not doing anything this weekend, so
Okay. All right.
yeah. Yeah, so, and I've got the step down bit to drill it out, so I don't have to worry about that. If you're going to drill through your pot, by the way, get yourself one of those conical step down bits. It makes it so much easier than trying to use a hole saw bit.
Let me look that up right now. And when you showed me the two valves on your tank, on your brew kettle, I was thinking to myself, oh boy, that seems like okay. What was the name you gave to that?
It's called a step
Step
down
down.
bit. Yeah, and here I'll share it. So, oh, go away, ad. All right.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. I've seen these things before.
Yeah, so it's one of these guys, and it's nice because
Yep.
you can see the different distances here, so you can just drill down to whatever you need it to be, and just go slow with it, and it just eats through that metal really, really easily.
Does it spark the whole time?
There wasn't a whole lot of sparks. I wouldn't have like an open propane tank around or anything, but there wasn't a whole lot of sparking going on.
That seems like a terrible thing to do.
Yeah, and the nice part too is there wasn't a whole lot of burrs left afterwards either. So I
Okay,
definitely,
okay.
if you do this, I definitely recommend filing it down afterwards to make sure that you have clean contact with your grommets, with your rubber gasket grommets there.
Right.
But it didn't leave a whole lot. I expected it to leave, be kind of jagged around the hole there, but it wasn't. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Point taken. Can you buy brew kettles that have two inputs like that?
Oh yeah.
Two valves?
Oh yeah.
There are?
Oh yeah, for
Okay.
sure. You can buy them with the Whirlpool, which is basically what my second one is for, in case anyone hasn't seen that. But you can buy them with a Whirlpool jet already kind of installed, so you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was easy enough, and I just drilled through and did that. So
Okay.
yeah.
Good deal. How's that beer tasting?
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my favorite one they've made so far.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, they've become known for, and it's a weird phenomenon. Like, they do have an IPA, and people drink the IPA, and that's, like we talked about before, that's kind of become synonymous with craft beer.
Sure.
But a lot of their most popular stuff is a Marzen, is a brown
Okay.
ale, is this Belgian beer, is more malt forward beers in this area, which is a little surprising. But it's, people aren't gravitating towards the hoppy beers.
Some solid choices in there.
Yeah.
So I think I mean, they haven't made that many beers to this point. I mean, because their grand opening was when?
At the beginning, end of the year, wasn't it? Yeah, somewhere like November, December. Yeah.
November, December. Okay, so roughly 6 months.
Yeah. So they've been brewing frequently. like at
They
least
oh they
twice a
have.
month. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So at this
All right.
point,
So
they
they've
probably made about 10.
okay. All
So
right. All right.
yeah, and the biggest thing that they did was they just assembled some truly ginormous picnic tables for their beer garden. They look phenomenal, and
Nice. Nice.
trust me, it's gonna take a active god to get these things to move from where they are. So they are not going anywhere. I mean, yeah, I could share a picture.
What is it? Tornado proof?
They are most likely tornado proof. Yes.
Okay, good.
Uh,
I, I should know this. Is Virginia known for tornadoes?
we
Is that a
get
thing out there?
we do get some.
All
Yeah,
right. Okay, I
yeah.
kind of figured.
And there is a kind of a mini fault, so we get the occasional, usually small earthquake too. But you see,
Okay.
that's the tables,
Okay. All right.
and
Is that attached to that wall that's next to it?
no, it's freestanding.
Okay.
But
All right.
4x4s for the legs, 2x8s for the stringers, and 2x10s and 2x6s for the boards across the top and the seats, and they're not going anywhere. That's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah. I love what they've done with this place and how they're building it up. It's really coming to its own and maturing. I'm very happy about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Trying to see if I recognize anything else in that picture.
Oh. Honestly, you probably don't. There's a new fence. That's the the building was the same building as before. That's the outside of it. I don't know if you ever saw that in the daytime.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think to myself.
Yeah.
You know,
So
have I been past that area where that building would be?
no, well, you have, but you wouldn't have seen it from the road. Yeah.
Okay.
So
All right.
the one thing is you see these uprights here. These are the supports for the building,
Yeah.
and they punched them through the ceiling, through the roof here on purpose. So the plan is to string lines from here over to the fence, which has the same things going on, and be able to string lights across it.
Oh, that'll look nice.
And that'll look real nice. And then what he wants
Okay.
to do is take a few of them, string them across, and put hops on it, like grow it up and across. And so I'm really curious to see, especially considering the conversation we had with Scott before about the hops refusing to go horizontally across to his dad's place, if that'll work.
Only one way to find out.
Yeah. Give it a shot. See what happens.
It's a worthy experiment.
I'll tell you, if it works, it's gonna look really nice.
Oh, for sure. Can you imagine this like a outside area full of
Yeah.
people and hop plants just hovering above you?
A canopy of hops
Yes,
above
exactly.
you. Yeah. No,
That's amazing setting.
that'd be really nice.
I tell you, that will show up in websites and publications too.
Yeah. So
Good thought. Well done, Unionville Brewing Company.
yeah, they're making a lot of good moves. So
Good.
yeah.
What was I going to say? Think.
Well, we had the conversation this weekend about the pump. Did you pull the trigger on that?
No.
No.
Home Depot was the project of the weekend.
Okay. All right.
So, but do I have a project this coming weekend? No.
Okay.
Could that be on the docket?
Yeah. You might.
Tune in on Monday's webcast, and we'll talk about it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, might have a Herm set up and a new pump.
So, all right. So now we know what next Monday's webcast is going to be about. All right. So tune in.
Yeah, if I'm going to do that, I got to get to ordering though. So.
Yeah, you and me both.
Yeah.
So here's what I was going to talk about. Scott,
Mm-hmm.
who has made many appearances here on the webcast. I want to throw out a little promo for him. On Scott's Facebook page, every Wednesday night, he's doing a music stream where he plays music for his audience and he takes requests. So I tuned in for a good part of this past Wednesday's webcast. Scott is an extremely solid musician.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, man.
Nice. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
wondering how that went. I invited him to this one. He said he couldn't make it, but
Okay.
yeah, I was wondering how that went for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Check it out on Wednesday. It's
Okay.
yeah, you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
So good man, good musician, and yeah,
Yeah.
he may be about to find out what a certain Chicago liqueur tastes like.
Oh man.
So we'll have to introduce that the next time he's on our webcast.
Hopefully he can try it for the first time on the webcast, because I would love to see that.
Be. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think that's a fair request.
yeah. Oh man. So yeah.
I was saying, I was talking earlier about just all the packaged beers that I've bought since the quarantine. So I got 2 4-packs of this.
Okay.
I bought 2 4-packs from Metal Monkey, 2 different varieties. What else have I bought? Hop Butcher.
Ouch.
Hop Butcher has become a go-to for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot. I've been focusing a lot on the craft ones in Virginia. It sounds like you're doing the same thing for Illinois.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it's there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. Have you finally decided that I'm right about Virginia having the best?
Listen, it's gonna take more than just 4 days to settle that debate. Come on.
Fair enough. I'll give you a couple extra days. It's fine.
Come on, extra days.
Oh.
Is there a volcano of snow globes that are about to show up on my porch? What's going to help drive this decision?
We were having a conversation with my cousins. We did a meeting last night, and we were talking about snow globes. And one of my cousins, his mom is a fan of Tito's, and he's like, "Well, that would work really well with a snow globe. Just stick a straw in there, and you can."
A straw?
Well, yeah, he was picturing an actual snow globe.
Oh.
And I was like, no, I just tell him it's a snow globe, like, like a crime. And there's really nothing wrong with shipping homebrew across state lines. It's just easier to not bring it up, So
yeah, exactly. So snow globes.
Snow globes. Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, man.
All right. What else is going on?
Did you listen to that video I sent you?
No, oh wait. Remind me.
The
I thought
Timothy
you were...
Dexter one?
No.
I sent it to you through Hangouts. I don't know if you saw it.
No, I did not.
Okay.
Was it just within the last couple of minutes?
No, it was after the last episode. I sent it to you.
Oh crap! Here it is. Oh jeez.
That's
I'm
all
sorry.
right. That's all right. Yeah, we talked about it last time. It was, as a refresher for everybody. It's Sam Onella Academy, and it was about Timothy Dexter, the dumbest rags to riches story in ever.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's good. I showed it to Hannah. She was laughing about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have some work to do after we get done with today's webcast, so you can count on that will be watched later tonight.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I is another recommendation. I've been listening to a show called Ear Biscuits. I'm sure you're familiar with Rhett and Link. They've been around forever.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ear Biscuits.
I've never like watched their web stream or podcast, but I've seen them show up on a bunch of other shows.
Yeah, Good Mythical Morning is entertaining, which is like their morning show, that their daily show that they do.
Okay.
But the Ear Biscuits thing is a little bit more personal. They talk about like kind of more real life things, and it's just the two of them sitting around a table. Well, right now apart via a webcast, like we're doing. But
Okay.
I watched one where they were answering questions from the audience, and one of the questions was, if you could change something about yourself, what would you change? And so they had some good answers on that, and I was thinking about it for myself, and that's a hard question, right? Like it takes some
Oh,
real
jeez.
introspection on that.
One. Okay. If you had to narrow it down to one thing,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, you'd have to mull that over.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
could. Yeah. To me, there's about 3 or 4 things that come out very quickly.
yeah. But yeah, if anybody's interested or has knows those guys from their what they do, their comedy skits and stuff, that's actually a really interesting insight into who they are, and has been it's been interesting and entertaining to me as well. So
Right on.
yeah, yeah. So
Joe Rogan podcast,
yeah,
another option.
true. Yeah.
You know what's cool about this go around with the quarantine
Hmm.
is the people he's having on his show are some of his closest friends and have become not regulars, but they're common names that have come up on the show at least once or twice a year,
Okay.
and they're like audience favorites. So this is like prime time for people that follow the podcast.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so there you go, free plug, Joe Rogan.
There you go.
So come on, yeah, come on. Can you return the favor, please?
Oh man, could you imagine?
Please, I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh man. So, on the more, home brewing beer centric thing, I have been debating whether or not, because I talked about doing the porter, and I don't know if you remember a little while back, I talked about a technique for using coffee beans to do coffee flavoring in a beer, where you put it in with the whirlpool and kind of
Yes.
steep it for a while.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I kind of have it in my head, and I'm wondering if I should just do a straight porter or if I should do a coffee porter. And
Using that technique.
using that technique and give that a shot. See what happens there. What do you think?
You're not thinking of doing it twice, are you?
I'm not. No, it
No.
would it would be either one or the other.
Okay.
I can't remember the last time I actually saw a coffee porter. I mean, porter
It's a
is
fair
not.
question.
Yeah, porter's not the most, you know, sought after style out there. Like people don't make it a lot as a consequence. It's either like stout or brown or, something else. But
Its prominence has been reduced over the last probably 2 to 3 years.
right, and I wonder if that is because I really enjoy a porter.
I do too. Yeah.
Yeah, so I wonder if there's like a kind of an untapped market there. If you can make a really good porter, if that is something that people would gravitate towards.
Well, it kind of makes me wonder too, what has made the market gravitate away from that?
Yeah.
Is it just because, the New Englands have taken over and this every craft place is paying just such close attention that the porters just dropped off?
Well, I think part of
I
it
don't know.
is darker beers like that tend to be less popular. They don't sell as much. So if someone's going to take the time and the kegs and the fermenter space and everything to make a dark beer, they're going to make one that most people will recognize. And brown
Right.
ale, thanks to like Newcastle and things like that, and stouts, thanks to our good buddies over at Guinness, are recognizable styles. But like, what's a mass market porter? Can you name a mass market porter?
The first thing that came to mind was the Breckenridge Vanilla Porter.
Yeah, but even that is
I
craft.
mean, that's a flavored one.
Yeah,
So you're talking about just regular porter, no adjuncts?
regular porter, no adjuncts, and more mass market than anything. I think we know Breckenridge because we know craft beer.
Probably.
Yeah. So, but Guinness, that's, I mean, that's not. There's some people who would call it craft beer, but that's more mass market beer than anything.
That is absolutely mass market.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a global brand.
And Newcastle Brown, that's a mass market one. I think that's an InBev company, if I remember correctly.
I think you're right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I can't think of one that's a porter that would like,
A mass market porter without adjuncts.
or even with adjuncts. Whatever.
This seems like it should be stupid simple.
Right. Yeah, I know it absolutely should be, but it's very much not.
Come on. Hold on. Let me just think about this.
Let's see, porter beer. All right, so looking at this is the Baltic portal. Those are other styles. United States. Yeah.
Deschutes Black Butte.
Okay, Black Butte. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yep.
Yeah. Deschutes is a bigger company.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
And Fuller's London Porter. Fuller's is a big one, especially over in the UK,
Okay.
EU area.
Vanilla Porter is number 3, according to Beer Advocate.
Vanilla Porter? Oh,
Breckenridge.
Breckenridge.
The one we talked
Okay.
about.
Yeah, Breckenridge. Yeah.
Wow, George, I think you're onto something.
I'm wondering.
Yeah, none
know?
of these are. Yeah, Sam Adams has a holiday porter, so it's a seasonal release.
Seasonal, sure.
Yingling has one, but let's face it, Yingling's not known for a porter.
Closest they get is
that's
their
easy
black
to
and
say.
tan.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, if you could make a really good porter, give somebody something slightly
right.
different, there's an opportunity there.
I agree. I agree strongly. And I didn't know the market was as limited as it was. That's a great point.
So now the question becomes, what is a really good porter? Like, what would you think? Like, we can look at these websites and talk about what is the difference between a porter and a stout, or a porter and a brown, or things like that. But what, in your mind, is a standout characteristic of a porter?
As far as the qualities, like if I were to sip a porter for the first time, what are the flavors that I want to catch me?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
What would you want to be in there?
All right. Okay. I was going to say the first thing, but God, I don't know if I could. In no particular order,
Okay.
I like a hint of sweetness.
Okay. A hint of sweetness. All right.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what that does is it offsets some of the potentially bitter notes that can be carried over from some of the dark malts
Okay.
that are used during the brew day.
Now, when you say a hint of sweetness, you're not looking for something like a milk stout kind of character or anything. Like nothing.
I mean, it can be, but it doesn't have to be.
Okay. Well, I guess
And I think that's why a lot of places will gravitate towards adjuncts, because they can get away with it. To get
to get that
effect.
sweetness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, so it's interesting because the reason why porters came around was to avoid the malt tax in the UK at the time.
The malt tax.
Yeah, they used to tax them based on the amount of malt they would use in there. So they started to do things like use less malt, more adjuncts, and use like brown sugar and things like that in place of some of the malt. to
Okay, that's
lower the
interesting.
tax on the
Okay,
beer, and that's kind of where the porter style came from a little bit. Yeah.
that's interesting. So I
So,
imagine brown sugar was a quick go-to
right. So
because
while
it replaces some of the malt they'd use.
so the interesting part of that is that basically porters don't exist, sort of.
Okay,
They're a modified brown ale.
okay.
Yeah, and so I guess that makes it interesting as to how do you really differentiate that. And so I think using it as a vehicle for those adjuncts and using it as a vehicle for a slightly sweeter flavor than you would get that off of a a stout or a brown ale might be the way to go on that.
How many other BJCP categories could you make that same argument for?
Oh, for sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's so. I mean, as beer drinkers and beer makers, what are we supposed to do with that? I mean, if they're a style that's just right between two, two
Right.
styles that are both lighter and darker, which porter just kind of fits that. Okay, so should we just trim down the entire field of beer styles out there?
And that is there's something to be said for that. And but the flip side to that is the descriptions and labels of these kind of getting more specific helps people to understand what should I expect to drink, and so that's
Yeah.
the kind of flip side to it. But there's a lot of people, like, even what was it, Beer Advocate on Twitter recently asked the question, what's the most ridiculous BJCP style that you think is out there?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
my,
Okay.
my response was fruit beer, because fruit beer, it's like 29C, I think, and it's any style you want with fruit. It's like, come on.
There's a couple similar categories right at the end of the judging numbers too.
Yeah.
You said fruit beer, and that's a fitting choice. Right behind that is like spiced beer.
Spiced beer. Yep. And yeah, exactly.
There's a couple others. I think veggie beer is maybe even a different one.
Well,
Let
veggie
me
beer is
look at my
slightly
list.
different because you're not supposed to use. It actually limits the amount of grains that you can use in it. It's supposed to be primarily veggies, so that's makes a
Got it. Okay.
little bit more sense.
Okay.
But
All right.
then say fruit beer. But
So
yeah,
okay, fruit beer, spiced beer, smoked beer, wood beer, specialty beer. Okay, I was going to say standard cider and Perry, and then there's a second category that's titled this the with a one word difference: specialty cider and Perry.
see, what the hell's
So
the difference between those two? What are those
I
numbers?
don't know.
What are those numbers?
C1 and C2.
C1.
Yeah, it's there in 2015.
Oh, I believe you. BJCP. BJCP Perry versus specialty. All right. What the heck is the difference here? Hang on. I gotta know. Standard cider and Perry, specialty cider and Perry. Okay, specialty cider and Perry includes beverages made with added flavors, spices, and other fruits. Those made with substantial amounts of sugar sources to increase starting gravities, and beverage made from a combination from apple and pear juice. Versus standard. Styles represented in this category are principally established styles. New World is simply a name changed from the common of earlier. There are known styles not represented here, in particular Spanish. In the case of, so it seems like the standard ciders, are apple based, just straight apple based, where the other ones
Okay.
are a little bit more flexible. The specialty ones are a little
All
bit
right.
more flexible.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
But
that one I can justify.
but there is an argument to be made of, should BJCP categories even matter anymore? Just make beer. Just make what you think tastes good and find a way to describe it.
there's a strong argument in both directions.
Yeah.
If I were in charge of that, I feel like I would set aside a number of different competitions that were not style specific, and you were judged on making the best beer possible.
Oof.
But see, the problem, but here, okay,
How
thinking
do
out
you
loud
judge
here.
that?
Well, yes, exactly, because you end up catering specifically to your own personal taste buds.
Right. Not to mention if you have a Pilsner, a Kelsch, an IPA, a stout, and a Melomel in there, how do your poor palate jumping from one to the other? You know.
True. Okay,
Yeah.
so there goes that idea. So I think we just explained how the BJCP came to be.
Oh, sure.
Because
yeah, no, I totally get
I mean,
that.
yeah, so you have to have just a framework to do these things.
Yeah, and I get that, but I guess what I'm saying is outside of competition judging, does style matter? Like people say,
How else would you answer the question, what kind of beer is this?
okay, so instead of saying I made an IPA or New England IPA or anything like that, be like I made a hoppy beer that is hazy. Which that has elements of New England that could be a New England IPA, or it could be a little bit more fruit forward, and it could have more of a Southern IPA influence, or it you just describe your beer. Like when we went to Kinslager, they called one the Chicago Common.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything.
Right.
That was the style they gave it, though, was the Chicago Common, and then they described what it was.
Yeah, we sure asked a lot of questions about it.
We did. Yeah, but that's just us, But
Well,
the description
yeah,
on the
yeah.
page was still pretty complete as to what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think we understand basically how the BJCP came about.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably the only reasonable metric to judge multiple beers.
No, I
at a
agree.
given point.
I do
So-
agree with that. I mean, if you're going to
so-
do a competition, it's the only way to
Yeah.
really make it make sense.
Right. So yeah, exactly. And I think beer consumption on a lesser level probably fits that criteria also.
Think so? Okay. Well, maybe there's still a place
Yeah.
for it. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're coming
There you go.
down. After that, we're coming down firmly on the side of keeping the categories, but maybe trim out some of the crazier ones.
That seems fair to me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
And maybe some of those categories can be widened with their acceptable characteristics as a
Right.
result.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hear that,
Here's-
BJCP?
okay,
You get to still
Yeah.
exist.
All right. So on that note,
Okay.
I want to make a case for this.
Okay.
There is no BJCP category for a robust porter. And that's crazy.
Whoa.
There absolutely should be.
As opposed to a porter?
Yeah.
Okay, so where are you drawing the line between porter and robust porter?
Well, look up the porter style on BJCP.
Okay.
And I think there's two styles. No, maybe there's at least two styles. There's an English porter and then there's a Baltic porter. And Baltic
Right.
porter, of course, is a radically different type of beer.
True.
But the English porter maxes out at like 6% alcohol.
Oh, so you're saying like an imperial porter?
Or even what if you wanted to make one that's 7.5?
Mm.
You're outside the category if you enter a beer that's in English porter based on that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and it is amazing how
BJCP, you need to jump on that. There absolutely needs to be a category for robust porter.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, and it's interesting because you say all right, so there's double, there's imperial, there's robust, there's strong,
All of which mean relatively the same thing.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
but depending on the style depends on the adjective that goes along with it. So,
Is that true, or are they used kind of interchangeably? That's what it feels like to me.
well, okay, so with IPA, I always see double IPA. I never see imperial IPA.
Oh, I've seen Imperial IPA.
You've seen
before.
Imperial IPA?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah, for
All right.
sure.
All
Yeah.
right. Well then,
Double
yeah.
IPA is more common. I will agree with that. But no, Imperial IPA is definitely out there.
Okay.
Or just Imperial Pale Ale.
Imperial Pale Ale. Yeah. 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 Because double Pale Ale doesn't. So, do you think those have just evolved over time, or is there like differences, like gradation differences as far as that goes?
I need somebody smarter than me to answer that.
Mm.
Do you think your AHA guy could
We could send him a message and see what he has to say.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
All
Yeah,
right.
would you have some insight on this?
Yeah, I could ask him that.
All right.
All right. Maybe
He may not be close enough to it, but it's
he might.
can't hurt to ask.
I'm sure he knows a guy.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, hell, he has a line to Charlie Papazian at some point, so you know.
I guess he would.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point. Robust, imperial, double, triple.
Right.
Triple's probably easier to put characteristics around.
Right, but robust, double, imperial,
Yeah.
those are
Those
and strong.
at least those three right there. Yeah.
And strong are,
Yeah.
are basically mean between regular and double the amount of alcohol. That's basically what they mean. Is stronger than normal. Not too strong, but stronger
Yeah.
than normal. So,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. And then you have, with the stouts, you have Russian Imperial. Is that Russian?
Yeah.
The Russian qualifier, does that add like a different note to it?
Wow, that's a great question. I don't know the answer to that.
All right, let's find out.
I should. I really should know, considering how I am with dark beers.
Oh, for fuck's sake. No, that's not what I wanted, Google. I didn't want information about Russia. First thing that shows up is pictures of the
Mail
Russian
order brides.
flag and
Oh,
Donald
no.
Trump, and just like, no.
Okay.
All right. Russian Imperial Stout. Russian Imperial Stout, first brewed in England for Emperor Peter the Great of Russia, are higher in alcohol than traditional English stouts. The best examples are full-bodied, rich, and complex, and often have flavors and aromas of dried fruit, coffee, and dark chocolate. And I think those adjuncts are kind of the standout. Because, what's his name in the Joliet Guild that always makes his cherry-infused Russian Imperial? I can picture the dude in my head. Do you know who I'm talking about? No? All right. It's often dry with flavors of high alcohol quite evident. Hop character can vary from none to balanced to aggressive. So really whatever the hell you want to do with hops, apparently.
Okay.
ABV between 8 and 12. IBUs between 50 and 90. And you should serve it in a snifter glass, apparently.
No, yeah, that part we knew about.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't serve one of those in a pint glass.
I know.
It's gonna be a bad time.
But yeah, it seems like the difference between like an Imperial Stout and a Russian Imperial is it's okay to have that alcohol character in the beer, and you tend to have more chocolate, coffee, and fruit flavors to it too.
With the higher alcohol concentration, it's going to balance out better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. King Peter of Russia?
Emperor Peter the Great.
Emperor Peter the Great. One of the czars from that area?
No, I think he was before the czars. Emperor of all of Russia. Oh, no, he was one of the czars.
One of the czars? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. A little history? Okay.
Yeah, successor was Catherine.
What time period is this?
He was in from 1682 to
Okay.
1725. That's
All
actually
right.
a pretty impressive reign for the time. 40 years.
Sure is.
Yeah, a little over
Yeah.
40 years.
All right.
Yeah. Go Peter.
Yeah.
Man,
All right.
call
So
him great.
you know, that's a number for Putin to shoot for.
Oh, Jesus.
Hey, we joke about that, but I'm pretty sure he's probably shooting for a number.
Yeah. Yeah.
He is not going anywhere.
Not if he has anything to say about it.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. As long as his health holds up, he's gonna be in power.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right. So,
Side topic.
yeah.
Candy and I watched, and it's on the topic of history. We got to watching Historical Roasts, which is streaming on Netflix.
Okay.
It's hosted by Jeff Ross, and it's
jeez.
roasting with historical figures, people like Abraham Lincoln, Muhammad Ali. Who else did they have? Cleopatra.
Okay.
And they have, what they do is they hire 3 actors that had something to do with their lives, and then they go up in front of a podium and have a quote unquote roast of the subject character, and they delve really deep into history. So it's both funny and informative at the same time.
Huh.
It's worth checking out. Take a look at it.
Why are things like that so endlessly entertaining?
Yeah. Well, honestly, like the place to start is the Abraham Lincoln episode.
Yeah. Okay.
That's absolutely the place to start.
All right. Give that a shot. And you said that's on Netflix, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Comedy Central put it together, but it's streaming there.
But it's streaming there. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'll check that out. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. So, what did we find out this episode? We found out that Jason and I are going to be doing projects this weekend.
Yeah.
We found out that porters don't exist and that the BJCP gets to live another day.
Yes.
Yeah.
And let's see. Oh, why are there attenuation problems in the Darien element?
We didn't find that.
We didn't find. Okay, we posed the question.
We posed the question. Yeah.
The topic to be continued.
Yeah. No, and we definitely will continue that topic. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to know this. 'Cause-
Yeah.
Well, we'll pick it back up on Thursday.
Okay.
There'll be other smart people on this, and more to come.
Yeah. Sounds good. All right.
Yeah. Is the website all done? Still a work in progress?
It's a living document. It's going to be a work in
All
progress
right.
for a while. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
But
Very good.
keep tuning into the website for updates, and I think Jason and I are going to plan a actual episode to keep the podcast side of this going as well.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So, but there's going to be more coming from us. You're going to see,
Blogs.
Articles and like I said, possibly if I can figure out how to work this, maybe some instructional videos and things like that. So we'll see what happens.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Honestly, the website looks fantastic.
Thank you, sir.
So check it out. www.aniceplacetobrew.com.
Mm-hmm.
Well worth taking a look at, and much more to come. We're doing this every Monday and Thursday. So continue to check us out here. Thursday coming up quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and watch us on social media as well.
All right.
At A Nice Place to Brew and Nice Place to Brew.
Yep.
All right. Beer glass has 1 sip left, so man, we timed this perfectly.
We did.
All right. Raise a glass. It takes a lot of good beer to make great beer.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Mm.